Welcome to Playwrights Roundtable, a half-hour showcase of plays produced by some of our very talented local writers and directors. And here today we're going to watch The Nave, a play written by Stephen Miller and directed by Chuck Dent. Welcome, guys. We're going to enjoy the play and come back and have a conversation about it. So sit back and relax and enjoy The Nave.
I hate to meet in here. You dodging me.
Aye, you're here every Sunday, aren't you? In fact, I've noticed you never miss.
Doesn't the father think it a bit queer? Us, this. Doesn't it look suspicious?
Good Lord above. It's my job to meet with the people of this here congregation, make them feel comfort. In fact, people sometimes feel more comforted out here instead of back in the office with the father or out in the confessional. Out here in the nave.
The nave?
That's what this section of the church building is called. The architecture, nave. Ironic, it's the same term for a medieval fool.
I want to marry you, Bridget Gray.
Liam, you don't even know me.
Still, I want to marry you.
Anyway, Father Thompson would never tell on me if people came to me with problems. I save the father some time and he has more leisure for drinking Cutty Sark. Or whatever alcohol he has handy at the moment.
Father Thompson drinks quite a bit.
But I didn't tell you, though, if you don't mind.
You know a bit of the secrets of this place then, do you?
Sure.
Well then, what's of the college man is always here visiting? What can you tell me of him?
Handsome man.
Lord, I don't know if he's handsome.
University type. Thin. Beard. Oh, no, not a full beard, just a little French thing hanging from the bottom of his chin.
Yeah, that's him.
That would be Father Thompson's boyfriend.
You're pulling me leg.
Oh, me hand to God. But again, you didn't hear it from me. Young man's older than he looks. I think he's about your age, actually.
Oh, Father Thompson.
Yes.
I never.
Well.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for you, Liam, you being such a saint and all.
No, it's not that. It's just the whole sanctity of the church just crumbling before my very eyes.
Oh, no. I cannot deal with your loss of faith today too, Liam Purdy. I've about 10 or 12 of those in a given month as it is. I've lost my faith in our personal Lord and Saviour, Jesus Christ. Golly, it's barren. But it wouldn't do for a few more adulteries or some good old-fashioned lustin'.
You sure don't respect the high church much, Bridget Gray.
Oh, I do in me fashion, I guess. Was raised in it, was I not? And it's me bread and butter, but yeah, lately, you noticed. Maybe while we were sleeping together, me faith unfailed them away.
Oh, dear Lord, me Jesus, don't say that to me.
Oh, calm down. It wasn't you who stole me from the bosom of God. You're a good one in bed, Liam Purdy, but you ain't that good.
Was it Father Thompson being...
Gay! The term is gay, Liam. And no, it wasn't that.
I got tomato, what was it then?
Next question.
Not going to answer.
Next question.
Okay. Will you marry me, Bridget Gray?
William, God almighty!
No. Stay.
The music has gone off. That old spinster lady, Mrs. Baker, will start her noon organ playing in a minute. Recital, she calls them. There are the noon bells for another day. And there's the old bag of wind herself banging on them poor keys day after day like clockwork.
Christ. Bridget Gray, will you marry me? Please.
Stop it, Jesus Christ, on a trampoline, get off the floor!
I'll do whatever it takes.
William, get up!
I don't care if they kick me out of the church. I don't care if they kick us both out of the church. As long as you never liked this church much anyway, Bridget, please. Just run away from it. Run away with me. Now. Marry me. I'm so in love with it. I want to take you and have you right here on this here church pew.
Oh, what a kidder! Oh, what a joke! The old lady always stops songs in the middle. Always. Idiot! You, not her. She picks stuff at random and then loses her page or forgets where she is, or I don't know, gets bored in the middle of the piece and just stops. Oh, for crying out loud.
Bridget, you leave me now and I'll shout you after you all the full length of this nave.
Liam, you're being unreasonable. A child, really.
Me? I'm being. You left me. You shut me out. Meet you only here in church, you say. No longer meet in private, you say.
And how many daughters do you have now, Liam?
Don't do this to me, please.
Angela and Karina. Such pretty names. Pretty girls.
Go back to your wife, Liam. Is that what you're planning on saying again? Again. It broke my heart, Bridget, it did. Go back to your wife, Liam Purdy, who you don't really love, and you only married because you got a blown up, and the high holy church say you gotta. And oh, lo and behold, you're stuck with this for life? Bridget, I love you so much, I'll put a gun to my head and blow my own brains out.
Talk nonsense right there.
Bridget, the church has changed, it has. We can get to the know of me marriage to me wife. I know I can be yours, like I never was with another. We can. I heard it all the time.
And what of your daughters, Liam? When you run away and then years later they come to search after you, or you run into them in the street. Sorry, you was born girls, but to send the checks every month, what else was I supposed to do?
You are killing me.
The truth is simple, Willie. You say you love me, but you don't even know who I am. You never have. And here you are, a married man, proposing eternal love to a girl you don't really know.
I know ya. I know I love ya.
Liam Purdy, you sweet fool. I have affairs with married men, so I don't have to get attached. Women don't go after married men to get attached.
That's terrible.
Oh, there's more I could tell you, sweetie. Did you know? Me own da left me ma when he found out she was pregnant with me. Ran away before the church had a chance to get her hands on him. And ma locked herself up in that upstairs room for nearly 9 months of crying. She swore left and right her entire life that me da ran away with another woman. What me ma didn't know. And after months of crying, in a secret room upstairs in her parents' house, she gives birth to me. And she decides then and there never to show me one bit of affection for me entire life. And she goes after me down in the courts, finds out where he's hiding out. He starts sending the monthly checks, no question. But he just doesn't want to see us, mother nor daughter. No notes, no further contact, just the monthly checks like clockwork. I once counted, started a countdown. I said to myself, 43 more monthly checks until I can leave my mother's bitter little house. I get self-determined. I get good grades. I get my psychology license. I get it partially, yes, to see what's wrong with our family. Self-diagnosis, they call it. Replacing all that religious mumbo-jumbo with fact, is what I say. I go off into the world. And then I finally, through some good detectiving, find out where my father is. Find out his big secret. Find out why he can't come to see his only child. Find out everything he had to do to try to cover up his terrible secrets.
No.
My ma died before I could tell her I found him.
Father Thompson.
I blackmailed him to give me a job in this very parish. And for me silence on his sins, both past and present, my father keeps me in his house for the first time since I was in my mother's womb and he walked out on me. Liam. We all sin and we all need salvation. The architecture of this church is built on that, the bones of secrets, kept all the way to the graves of those who knew them. Now, please, go back to your wife, Liam Purdy. Go back to her and to your 2 beautiful, innocent daughters. Gray, you do have an affection for the romantic. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
I enjoyed that very much, but I have a lot of questions because it seems to me like at the end, I'm not quite sure I'm convinced of the character's sensitivity or truthfulness. So I want to ask you about whether or not she was really telling a true story. When we get back, we're going to talk with Stephen Miller and Chuck Dent about The Nave. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
You left me. You shut me out. Meet you only here in church, you say. No longer meet them in private, you say.
And how many daughters do you have now, Liam?
Don't do this to me, please.
Angela and Karina. Such pretty names. Pretty girls.
You've just watched a quick clip from The Nave, a play written by Stephen Miller and directed by Chuck Dent. Welcome to the studio, guys. Love to talk to you about the play. Stephen, when I watched it, I'm thinking to myself, I didn't know that you had an Irish background. There's something that you're very close to in this play.
Oh yeah, my dad and my mom are they were both immigrants. We have some German and some Dutch in there, but mostly Northern Irish, which is why, you know, when I met with Chuck, I said, Northern Irish is a very specific, it's a little choppier, it's not as lilty. But yeah, they were both Northern Irish, they were both Catholic for a while. When my mom passed away and my dad married my stepmother, he left the church. And then he started introducing me to things like Joseph Campbell and Hinduism and Judaism and all these other things, which we didn't have when I was growing up. But yeah, there's that little bit of Northern Irish, and then there's the second part of that too.
So tell me, what were some of the inspirations for the play, the story itself?
Well, there was an article, and I read all sorts of things online, and there was this article in, I want to say it was like Christianity Today, and it was a priest admitting off the record that the Catholic Church was more interested during the scandals that have happened over the last few years, more interested in protecting the organization than it was in its concerns with its congregation, its parishioners. And I thought that was an interesting bent, and then I thought, what sort of story could you tell? And I realized that by telling a story, you get into the whole what's the truth and what's the lie thing, which is kind of something that plays through the entire play.
Which we will talk about. But Chuck, what drew you to this play?
Some of it for me was, one of the things that's interesting to me is how people in what I call religious situations, people who are devout or think they're devout, react at times when things are kind of going off kilter from their religion. And Liam, correct me if I'm wrong, Liam, I always pronounce it wrong. Liam especially is interesting because there are lines in there where he seems like he's very devout, and then he's talking about, well, I want to continue this affair with you, and he's saying it in the church. But he has no problem saying that, which is really kind of interesting. It's that, again, what is the truth thing that Steve has mentioned. You know, I have my truth that I see it my way, and it's okay because I see it that way, but we, the audience, can see that it's not quite so. So that sort of thing is very interesting to me, and also it's, you know, not to toot your horn there, but it's very well written, and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And so I said, I want to direct that one.
The Nave has a double meaning, doesn't it?
Well, and that's the thing, is that I'm never one of those people who writes a play because I know the answers. And I really believe that religious and spiritual things have a very strong reason for being, and people really need them. But there's a point where you over-romanticize, which is a word that's used a couple times in the play, romantic. You over-romanticize what's happening and you forget the meaning behind it or what's happening behind it. And the ritual or the structure or the whatever becomes more important than what it means. And so, yeah, the Nave would apply both to the section of the church and, in a way, the way that Liam's kind of romanticized his relationship, how he's romanticized the church. So, yeah, it's got a double meaning that way.
The characters that were chosen to portray, the actors that were chosen to portray the characters, how were they selected? And what were you looking for when they were auditioning?
Being able to do a Northern Irish accent is a big
obviously
thing,
is one.
Also, people who could convey the very deep, conflicting emotions in this, and had the right look. And I usually try not to cast by a certain type or anything, but Kim had the right look, and she put me in contact with Joe. And the instant I saw his photo, I'm like, okay, that's our guy. And they both delivered. And for me, it was listening to how people were doing it and seeing how they were interpreting it as they were reading it during the auditions, and they were both quite good. And so for me, that was an easy choice, getting those two involved.
Did you work with them on the accent?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those things where there's a few other sources out there that you can kind of point them to and say, okay, this is more Northern Irish and not the, you know, Irish Spring soap commercial. Manly, yes, but I like it too, which is never how my dad sounded, or the Lucky Charms commercial or whatever. My dad never sounded that way, so it was one of those things where you're like, okay, just take it and make it sound choppier and less pleasant, and you're there.
The truth is simple, Willie. You say you love me, but you don't even know who I am. You never have. And here you are, a married man, proposing eternal love to a girl you don't really know.
I know ya. I know I love ya.
Liam Purdy, you sweet fool. I have affairs with married men, so I don't have to get attached. Women don't go after married men to get attached.
That's terrible.
Oh, there's more I could tell you, sweetie.
There were a lot of contrasts in Liam, in his character. He's very flabbergasted by some of the things that she's saying, but yet he's unholy as well with the affair. So tell me about the process of directing Liam, creating that character.
Well, you know, it's one of the things I absolutely love about my background as Northern Irish and Catholic is that they are very devout and very devoted and loyal to the church, but they also have this mythology that they're sinners, we're sinners, or, you know, whoever's in that group. And so they can be flawed, they can make mistakes. And so by doing things like having an affair, being adulterous, or even saying that you're going to leave the church, in some ways you're proving yourself as a member of that church because you are a sinner and that's the way it's written. And so, yeah, there are those conflicts, but the interesting thing is, if you think of yourself as a flawed person who your religious belief saves, then Liam's fine with what he's doing. At some point, he can change his mind, he can apologize, he can do penance, and he's back in good favor.
Now, Bridget, as we talked about in the beginning, there is a bit of truth to what she's conveying, but then at the end, I really feel like it was all a bit of a lie.
That's That's interesting. That's something that Chuck and I talked about in detail. And it's what's the truth here and what's being romanticized. And I never write a play knowing the answers. So I like the fact that the audience has to kind of figure out, where do I think she was lying and where do I think she wasn't? One of the things that Kim said as an actress, she said because she knew the check thing and there was something to do with the check and she mentioned it twice, that seemed like it would be real or truthful. And I like that sort of enigma or puzzle about the play in that you have to figure out where she was telling the truth and where she was lying. She was lying about some of that, that's obvious. But that's kind of the fun that I hope I leave the audience with. The other thing about Bridget is, in a lot of ways, she's like Liam because she's an adulterer, she admits to blackmail, she admits to lying, but then she goes back to the rosary at the end. And so in some ways, she's exactly like every other lapsed Catholic, which is, I still have that card I can play or that door I can go through to receive penance and get back into the church.
Did you both stay involved in the process together? Did you collaborate, or did you kind of let Chuck take his vision? And
we did a lot through email.
Yeah, a lot through email. And we brought him in for a rehearsal because he wanted to see how it was going and give some input on where we were going. And it was actually very, very informative. But we, as both writer and director, we also shared these insights with the casts as well and made them very much a part of it. And we came up with some really interesting stuff as we went through it, and we discussed it and said, well, here's what we're thinking about this, how do you guys feel about it? And then they played around with it, and my term is they kicked around the lines a little bit and see how it felt, and we made it work.
Theater, one of the great things about theater is it's collaborative. And I never write a play in a vacuum. I always run it past my friends and my colleagues. I want Chuck's input. There was a section of lines in there where I said, this needs fixed. Let's work with the actors and get this fixed. And so we did that as part of the process. I've worked with Kim before, and I loved working with Joe, and that was something that we picked up on quickly, which is that we're going to work together on this to make it as best as it can.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Now, I've noticed that that's one of the collaborative. That's a word I hear a lot from people who have participated in playwrights, whether they're the actors or the writers or the director. Is that something, Chuck, you can probably speak to this a little bit more as someone who is part of the leadership team of playwrights. Is that something that you strive to have with the relationship?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people think of when they think of playwrights is the playwright is, up in his room by himself late at night with his candle, and he does all his singing, and it's
old
perfect
rusty
right
typewriter.
there. And that they never run it past anybody. And I guess there may be some writers out there who do that and are very successful, but I really don't know of any who are able to do that. They really need to hear it. They really need to have a director and some actors run it through its paces and see what's really working or not. Because it may sound great on the page, or it may look great on the page, or it may sound great in your head when you're writing it. And then you hear it and it's like, oh, okay, well, let's try this. But that's one of the things that we very much encourage with Playwrights Roundtable is like, please be involved. I mean, it's in our name, Playwrights Roundtable, please be involved with your plays. Don't just say, here's the play, run.
It's perfect.
It's got it. That's the way that we like to do it, and it's been very successful for us, and I think it worked very well in this one.
Well, you look at the history of playwriting, and our greatest playwright is considered William Shakespeare. He had a company of people, and if you go back and look at his portfolios, he made changes. One of the things that he did was he worked with a company of people, and he improved the plays to the best, to his best ability, and that's when he'd release it. Last year's Pulitzer Prize winner, Tracy Letts, August Osage County. He stepped up there receiving the Pulitzer, and he said he wouldn't have been able to do it without the people at Steppenwolf working with him. And that's one of the big strengths of Playwrights Roundtable is that, we work with people to get as many perspectives on an idea and really build, like you said, that collaborative culture.
And it's a very good relationship. I think that also the audience gets to play a part of that as well, correct?
Absolutely. Chuck? Yeah, actually, the public is welcome to the workshops as well to give their input. Occasionally we have the stage readings. And then here recently, like we did with this show, is we invited the audience to participate by emailing us through our website and saying, it'll stay anonymous, but please let us know what you think, because this is the part where you come in. Obviously, it's created for an audience. We need your input, so please do that through the website. And we're working with some initiatives to kind of bring that in a little bit more. Maybe do some more stage readings where they are much more involved and see where it goes from there.
Well, Thank you very much for coming by and talking to us about the Nave. I really appreciate your writing and your directing. I think Playwrights Roundtable is a wonderful organization, and I look forward to many more works coming from the both of you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us again on Playwrights Roundtable. We'll see you again soon. Playwrights Roundtable provides opportunities for authors to have their work read by professional actors. Members of Playwrights Roundtable have seen their works go from cold readings to workshop productions and on to successful full productions. If you love the craft, Playwrights Roundtable is the place. For more information, contact Playwrights Roundtable at 407-788-8468 or check out the website www.playwrightsroundtable.org.